Hey everybody, it's Gavin Grubbs. I'm here with Scott Shive. We're back with the B-Main for episode 24, and Scott, holy crap, we actually got to hang out last weekend.
I know. That was so interesting. It was great. Like, we hadn't done it, and we'd known each other for like 2 years.
I know, it was an awesome weekend, but it was also maybe the weirdest race weekend I've ever been at down at Snowball Derby.
Yeah, it definitely was a very interesting weekend. One that I've definitely never been a part of before, and it hadn't been like that there since 1983 for them. So it was definitely something new for them, something new for us, yeah, it was. What can you say? It was an experience and one that we'll definitely never forget. But it ended up being a good weekend. I mean, still with all the rain.
Yeah, no, it was a fun weekend, but so I got down there on Wednesday night. I think you got down there Wednesday night as well. You went ahead and went to the racetrack, and I just went to the room. And then Thursday, everybody was kind of doing their own thing because it was raining. We eventually
Thursday,
got tired of,
I would say we got together.
yeah, we all got tired of waiting out the rain. I think you and Timothy had been at the racetrack, and they called off Thursday's racing. So y'all came over to the condo we were staying at, and we actually ended up finding some racing to watch at the Gateway Dirt Nationals. Got to watch the first night of that, and like we've talked about before, every time we watch a race together, it's usually some really solid racing.
It definitely is. And, yeah, I enjoyed getting to hang out that day. I would have obviously rather been hanging out at the racetrack with cars on track, but we did. And we eventually went to dinner that night, and it was just so hilarious. We were watching dinner with us three crowded around your phone, watching the Gateway Dirt Nationals. And I will say, we'll talk about night one of the Dirt Nationals because we're going to bounce back and forth this episode just between the Dirt Nationals and the Snowball, just because that's kind of how the weekend went for us, really. And there wasn't really too much action until after the Nationals was really over. You were straight up on the picks for Dirt Nationals for sure. Pretty much all weekend. I can't remember who. Bobby Pierce won night one, right? Or was it night two?
Yeah, Bobby Pierce won night one.
He won night one. I really tried to go off the wall a little bit with Nick Hoffman.
He went out of the box.
And he looked good in hot laps. But then he damaged his car in qualifying, and it just didn't really work out.
No, which he managed to end up making the show that night, and he had an all right run. But Bobby Pierce just absolutely dominated night one.
Yeah, he did.
And he was in a class of his own. I got back to the room and ended up watching the main on my own. But we watched all the heat races together. When we were deciding on where we were going to go eat, Timothy hit us with a 6-7 in one of the most cringy ways I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh. Never thought that man would ever make a joke like that. And we'll continue to make fun of him for it. Absolutely. And by the way, he was there, trying to run in the super late model race as well as his outlaw. And so, I mean, that really about covers Thursday night at the Gateway Dirt Nationals. Only other thing that was notable for me was just, and this is a dome usual, of just how many right side body panels were torn apart. And a lot of fence repair. But of course, you're going to have that with a quote-unquote movable racetrack and a non-permanent racetrack, that those poles that hold those fences are just buried into the dirt and compacted. So something is bound to, take a hit, especially with the drivers getting so close to the wall. I just can't believe still that they can fit dirt late models too wide on such a small track like that. I love it. I really do. And I think it's great. So we'll talk more about that as well. We'll talk about the Friday night. But Friday came for us, and I was staying at the media house this whole time. Timothy had a hotel with his family, and Gavin was in a condo downtown with his family. So we were kind of all over the place. And this was the first day that we looked like we were going to have on-track action. So it was 8 a.m. for me. The media team, we were always going to go to the track no matter what, unless, things were already canceled. So we went to the track for drivers meeting, everything, and it was dry. They were dry on the track still. Looked like things were going to be on time. Super practice was set for 10. Pros were set for 11. And Gavin had texted us earlier. Gavin, you had texted us earlier that morning. We were like, yeah, it looks fine. Or like, whatever. But you checked the weather.
You said it looks gloomy.
Okay, Timothy said that. I didn't.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, that doesn't sound great. I looked outside. It was raining. I checked the weather app on my phone. It was like a 90% chance of rain all day. So I just went back to sleep. I was like, yeah, I'm going back to sleep. I'm not dealing with the cold right now. So me and my family, we're eating breakfast, brunch, I guess. And you text me and you're like, hey, we're on the track right now. Where are you? And I'm like, I'm eating. I didn't know y'all were going to be able to get on track. So we finished our meal and we head to the racetrack. And by the time I get to the racetrack, the sky's open back up. So we just huddle up in Timothy's car hauler and hang out for a couple hours, just, hanging out, getting to meet some of the guys that were there helping with his team. Great guys, too. They're fun. Some really entertaining characters that were helping out with Timothy this weekend.
Yeah, but that on-track action, that was the only practice that anyone got all weekend. And Friday is supposed to be qualifying day. That eventually got rained out. But the only notable thing that happened in practice that day for me was the Gavin Bushell wreck and then Preston Peltier being fastest. And he ended up being fastest in qualifying as well the next night, but we'll get to that. But he was just I've heard things about him from Timothy, but it was interesting because I think he was over 45 years old. Like, this guy was old, and he was wheeling it. So, but
he's not a local either, isn't he? From Colorado?
Yeah, I don't think he's exactly
west,
local. No, not
yeah,
exactly.
Like, he's not even a southern driver. Like, he's not a regular in the series that run around the southeast anyway.
Right. So, but yeah, rain rest of the day, like you said, and I think everything was called probably about 2:00. I think, and then I think did we go eat again? I don't.
Yeah, we went and ate again. We went and ate barbecue.
Yes.
You showed up after we had already all finished our meals.
I know. Well, I was working on stuff at the media house. I was working on my photography, and y'all said y'all were gonna get there at like 6:15. So I got there at like 6:30, and y'all were already done.
We were hungry.
Well, so was I, dude.
It was some good barbecue.
Timothy talked about those cheese biscuits from last year, and I had them, and I had not had them since. Dude, I wish I could have them right now. It's so good. Like, oh my goodness, did I enjoy those things.
I like that they were more like a roll or a muffin than they were really a biscuit.
Yeah, it was like a little muffin. Like, but it was.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah, but they were so good, and I really
the B-Main's slowly turning into a food podcast.
Yeah. Hey, look,
we're slowly leaning towards.
Dude, I'm gonna eat after this. This is making me hungry right now, so we've got to stop talking about this because my stomach will start grumbling. But yeah, we did that Friday night, and I stayed at the media house for most of the time. I tried to stay at Gavin's to save a little bit of cash, but that did not eventually work out, and we'll get to that. I think
there were some logistical nightmares for all three of us this weekend. I think
there were. That is in fact the truth. So. I was at the media house mainly editing photos and hanging out with the media team with Reed Scott, Chase Folsom, Buddy Pulley, and what a gang they are. And we had a ton of fun at the media house.
They're fun guys. I like them.
Oh, they're great. So that night, actually, we came up with this game. We didn't really come up with it. It's like headbands, but we did, instead of like the actual game, we just did note cards, and we would write the names on it, and we did like drivers. But we did like drivers that like all of us would know. And so it was like headbands where you have to ask like who you are, like, and questions about them to like narrow it down. And it was hilarious because there were some hilarious drivers. Who was it? There was like Boris Said. Who else? We had Kevin Conway, Reed Sorensen. We had some media members.
Kevin Conway, that's awesome.
We did someone.
I know that one had to be hilarious.
Oh, it was. We had some hilarious people. Who was the hardest one for me? Oh, we had. Oh my gosh, what's his name? I don't even remember his name. But we had some difficult ones in there too, and it just turned out being actually really funny and a ton of fun. So we did that for most of Friday night. Then Saturday morning. I'm trying to remember what happened Saturday morning. I want to say we probably all slept in again because it was most likely raining. And then I think we got to the track about 2:00 because the rain was going to eventually go away. And the plan that day, since qualifying got rained out, was have qualifying for both the pros and the supers and their LCQs, and then run the Snowflake 125. And that eventually came to be, Gavin. and
Sunday
it
morning, really.
was a late night.
Yeah, I didn't stay. You stayed the whole race.
I did.
I left after the snowflake qualifying. I stayed for snowball qualifying, watched the LCQ, watched snowflake qualifying, and it was close to midnight at that point. And I was like, all right, I gotta go. I'm out.
Yeah,
So I get back, and I watched the snowflake LCQ. I ended up just getting to watch the highlights of the snowflake because I was just like, I'm just not dealing with this right now. But what a race from Keelan Harvick.
Yeah, it definitely was. And
That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, well, and actually, before should we go into that, or I skipped the Friday night dirt nationals, or should we go back to that?
Well, we can whatever you want to do. I'm just kind of along for the ride here.
Well, I say let's go back because I don't want to get into that real quick. Let's talk about Friday night.
Other than RTJ's dominance, there was really only one wild moment, and that was Brendan Smith and Kyle Bronson's incident.
Yes. That was Friday night. Okay.
That was Friday night. Yeah. The first incident was Friday night. And Kyle Bronson has got a very big personality. And I believe this was Friday. Or was this Saturday? This is Friday.
I think it was Friday.
Yeah, this is Friday. And Brendan Smith had been kind of, quote, what everyone referred to as a wrecking ball and just running over people most of the weekend. Hudson O'Neal and Kyle Bronson were both upset with him, and they're interviewing both of them at the same time in the infield during a red flag. And they're both very angry, said some words I probably shouldn't be repeating on YouTube. But well, the really funny part to me was the interviewer was like, well, maybe you two should just fight to get some of this anger out. And Kyle Bronson picks up Hudson O'Neal like a baby and throws him over his shoulder. It was just hilarious.
Funny. That is pretty funny, actually.
And then Kyle Bronson decides to go confront Brendan Smith. So he's on his way over there, and you see him reach into the nether regions of his fire suit and rub a sweaty hand all over Brendan Smith's face. One of the funnier moments, though. Like, it was like, no way he just did that.
That is gross. I that's like worse than getting punched.
I bet he doesn't run him over again.
No, I wouldn't. Well, didn't he? Well, I think he did the next night.
Probably so. I think he ran over everybody.
Goodness. I didn't know that.
That was Friday's highlight, and then RTJ just walked away with the late model race. Yeah. It was also my pick again.
It was, and
I was 2 for 2.
Yeah, and look, the obvious picks did it. I was trying to go a little bit more out of the box. If I really wasn't trying to be different from you there, I'd have picked the exact same two. So.
Well, your snowball derby pick crossed the line first, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. So back to the snowflake now, and I agree with you. The only notable things from the super qualifying was that Kyle Busch had to go to the LCQ, and he did, in fact, win it. And Eric Jones actually missed the show, which Timothy gave us a little bit of more insight, and Eric Jones had to qualify pretty early. And apparently there was some oil put down on the track and was not cleaned up as well as maybe it could have been, and that could have been a problem for Jones.
Which seemed to be fast in the LCQ. Like, he got up to 5th place. He was one spot away from making the show, but he was completely buried in traffic and just ended up one spot short.
And it went all green all the way through. So
which something that, from what I know, usually doesn't happen in the LCQ.
No, but it has happened the past 2 years. So now, and to be fair, that's a little more interesting last year because it was 50 laps. This year they were shortened down to 25, which you could argue as well. If it had been 50 laps.
But I think it helped with the late night schedule.
Oh, that's exactly why they did it. But
okay, that was a game time decision. That wasn't a.
No. It was supposed to be 50.
Okay, I didn't realize that
because it usually happens. It usually happens the night before the snowflake, but obviously you're way earlier in the day for that. So the snowflake started at 12:30. That's what time we were starting the Snowflake 125 race. And I believe Keelan was starting 14th. It was the front row for Luke Baldwin and Caden Honeycutt. And
I think those were our picks, actually.
yeah, I think
remember picking
Baldwin. I think Baldwin was my
Baldwin.
pick. You did?
I think I picked.
I don't know.
We'll have to review this, and somebody will figure it out for us.
I don't know. But so race started out fairly normal. Not really any cautions early, and a little bit of passing, but everyone was kind of holding their position, just kind of moving around. Keelan was slowly starting to move up. Luke Baldwin, he eventually lost the lead to Caden Honeycutt and was just kind of riding in second. I don't remember who was third besides them two. And honestly, biggest notables that stood out for me, because I don't want to just summarize the race. If you've watched it, you've watched it. Biggest notables for me was that Jade won her LCQ that night and started 32nd. She started 32nd. Before she got involved in a late race wreck that was not of her own doing, she was running in 9th and definitely could have moved forward more.
I mean, she was really impressive, really fast.
I'm just mad that the results haven't happened, because the speed is there for her. Like, it is there.
Yeah, it's there.
And I texted her because I had some photos of her that I took. And I know she's got a ton of professional photographers, but I just sent them over anyway. And I was like, hey, I just, wanted to say, because I didn't get to talk to her all weekend, which I was sad about.
I talked to her very briefly.
Yeah, I was sad about not talking to her. So I texted her, and she was thankful. And I was talking to her, you get told this by a lot better, or what are, like, more people in better knowledge than me, but I was like, speed is there. Like, results are going to come. And, just another voice, just giving her a little compliment, because she deserves it. And she besides Harvick, her and Harvick were the two impressive things to me in that race. And because they are going to be something, especially. And that gives me – go ahead.
I was just going to point out that I think they're also the two drivers from the Snowflake, and even probably in all of pro late model racing right now, that have the most eyes on them and the most pressure and the most, like, I don't think before this year I've seen two drivers in a pro late model get this much attention from the national racing media.
I definitely agree with you. They're definitely both talked about a lot within their discipline and what they're doing and with their backgrounds and with their story. So I would definitely say the pressure is on. Another standout for me was Isaac Kitzmiller, who finished 5th after starting, I want to say, just inside the top 20, but he was second best of those Rackley cars, and so he had a fairly good night. Vito Cancela, I don't think he had that great of a night. I don't think he started the race, but I think they might have had problems or something like that. But Isaac Kitzmiller had a very, very solid evening in one of my favorite-looking race cars, by the way, the Fire.
Yes.
you were you having to think
I know
there?
Which one you're talking about. Yeah, I was having to think there.
Okay, I was going to say you paused for quite a while.
It was that was a Rackley car, right?
Yeah.
Kitzmiller, or not Kitzmiller, Cancela. That's the 25 car?
No, that was Kitzmiller.
Kitzmiller with the Fire, the one you said was a good look. Okay. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Bro was not listening.
No, I was listening. I was trying to find the Snowflake results. Is what I was doing.
Okay. So you weren't listening.
I was
kidding.
not, but I was looking.
You looking up something important?
My brain was in the right spot.
Oh, good.
Miller finished 4th.
He did. Oh, he did. Okay. Yes. There we go. So top 5, I should say.
Yeah.
Who finished 5th?
Luke Baldwin.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Honeycutt, Kitzmiller, Baldwin was top 5.
Which, what a battle between Harvick and McKee. I wish there would have been a little bit more car there for McKee, because from a media perspective, I am really surprised. Honestly, McKee definitely looked like a different driver that night. He wasn't, like, he started in the top 5 and he finished in the top 5. So he wasn't, like, passing a ton of people. But when it came to him and Keelan's battle, it was very straight up between the two of them. I don't think there was almost any contact. I think there was a crossover by McKee and it worked, but Harvick quickly got him back. But it was really clean racing between them. And as we know from this year, McKee has a reputation of being aggressive and maybe reacting with emotion rather than his head sometimes when he's in the seat. And this was definitely a different Tristan McKee driving than I think I've seen before. And so I wanted to commend him for that. I've heard that things, he had some talking tos after Martinsville and whatever the deal was with that, whether it was intentional, whether it wasn't, no matter what it was, people talked to him. And maybe whatever it was, maybe set in a little bit because he definitely drove differently. I don't think he had the car to win. I think Keelan's car eventually was the standout. I don't think there was anything McKee had for him. And I think he was smart and realized that instead of trying to, defend like crazy, he did defend, which you should in that scenario. You shouldn't just give up a position because you think your car is faster than you. But once he got by him, he didn't try anything quote unquote dumb. He held his position, was like, hey, second place is a good finish. This is where my car is. This is where we are tonight. Let's take that rather than risk it and end up wrecked.
Yeah, it's a lot of maturity from McKee, and we've talked about a handful of drivers this year who have grown up and started the year with one reputation and ended the year with a lot better of a reputation. And I think McKee was more of a roller coaster. I think at the start of the year, I don't think he had that many problems. I think this year was the year we started seeing people react poorly to Tristan McKee's decisions.
I think so too.
And it built up over the year and got worse. It put his reputation in a worse and worse position as the year went on. And to see him drive this maturely in such a high stakes big race with so many eyes on it, a really good look for him.
Definitely a good look for him. And now we can talk about Keelan. And I really did not think. I really did. I know that Keelan's talented. We've seen it all year. He won 2 times in the Cars Tour Pro Late Models, and he won 3 times in the Cars Tour West.
Yeah.
He made his pro debut at Kern and fought with his dad. I think he finished 3rd there. Granted,
debut, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I said. And granted, there were 11 cars, but still. Mm-hmm. And this race, you and I said it, was going to be a big determiner. And it was going to be a big test. And from when qualifying happened, I was like, okay, that makes sense. He was 14th out of 30 or 60 something cars that qualified. I'm like, that's good, especially in that Rackley car. That's good. That's good qualifying. I didn't expect him to go out and put. I didn't expect him to
not faster.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to go put it on pole, but then came race time, and he just kept slowly picking off spots, slowly and slowly moving forward, and he's in the top 5. And then he's past Honeycutt. And then him and McKee are fighting. And I'm like, wow, he could win this. And then at the end, I was like, he's going to win. And I could not have predicted that he would have won. Because we know pro late model racing is pro late model racing. But there are a lot of drivers that do race at higher levels that come down to run that race. It's not just a ton of newbies that are trying to find their ground. There are some veteran drivers that come down there, like Casey Roderick, Candy Honeycutt, Stephen Nassy, Matt Craig. They were all there. Luke Baldwin, I wouldn't say he's a veteran, but I would say Spencer Davis, yes, absolutely. I would say Luke Baldwin is a more mature driver as of the past couple of years and has a lot of experience.
I know he's very young, but at this point, Tristan McKee is a veteran to pro late model racing.
He's had a lot more seat time.
Yeah,
I would say he's still too young for any. He just doesn't have as much racing experience all around.
But him finishing second is not a surprise to anyone. Everyone expected McKee to be in the top 5 in this race. I'm saying.
That's true, and
that's I guess the point I was making.
Yes,
I'm not
I agree with you.
Because he's 14 or 15, however old he is. I'm just saying He's been in the
I
pro
think
late
he's just
model
had more
enough
seat
and won
time in
enough
general.
races. Yeah, like we expect him to be in the top 5 at a race this big.
Yeah, like Keelan this year was only doing pro late models and he did one super start. This year for McKee, he did pro late models and he did ARCA, and I think he did
And late
late
models.
models exactly. So he had just almost triple the seat time that Keelan did. But I agree with you. I'm glad you got to make that point because at first I was like, I don't know, but that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But this, I think Harvick is very humble. But at what, I don't know. Like, I mean, he's just winning. I mean, he is just winning. And
he's so young, you don't want to move him up, but at the same time, you don't learn anything when you go out there and win with ease.
right.
And it's at such a interesting point in his career.
Exactly. I mean, he's probably one of the youngest. He's probably the youngest ever to be so dominant at already such a high level.
I mean, I would say he's doing the most at his age since Chase Elliott and Joey Logano. Are the only two other drivers I can think of that when they were 13 were winning national level late model races.
Right. And I agree with you. And I don't know what they do with them. I mean, I think maybe, and think about, he made his late model stock debut, I want to say the South Carolina 400. And he finished, I think, top 5. And he was fighting, for the top 3. And so it wasn't like, and late models are a very competitive field, and that's a very competitive race. And it's not like he was getting swallowed. I mean, he was swimming. So I don't know what you do with him. I don't know what the plan is if you're Kevin Harvick.
I think you just keep getting him as much seat time in all 3 levels of late model racing until he turns 15 and you can put him in an ARCA car. Like, I think you just get him in as many different race cars as possible that he is eligible to race in. So that would be the pro, the stock, and the super. And just have him go to as many tracks, race as many different drivers as possible, and learn from as many different people.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good call.
Let him start running ARCA East and West.
Yeah.
Because equipment's never going to be an issue for Keelan Harvick.
No.
The only thing that is really going to test him in the quality of equipment he is in is running the South Carolina 400, running the Hickory Throwback Classic, running the Snowflake and the Snowball. Running the biggest races possible is the only way his talent is truly going to be showcased because of the quality of equipment he's in.
That's true.
When he is in the best car in a 15-car field, you expect him to win. But when you show up to a 40 or 50-car field with 20 cars that are on the level of a Rackley car, then you really understand how good he is.
Yes. And I agree with you. And I think that's a great way to put it. And I think we can put that one to bed for the night because there's not much more to say. And I will love to see what they do with him next year, what the plans are for 2026. And yeah, let's go to the final night for the Dirt Nationals. Gavin, I send it to you.
And my notes aren't very long on this because of how dominant Bobby
I think it was
Pierce
a straight up weekend for
it was just a straight
the
up
Nationals.
weekend of racing. Like, it was a great weekend, an entertaining weekend. But Bobby Pierce
by the way, we
front.
finished that race at 4:30 in the morning. Forgot to mention that. Tied for the longest night ever at the Derby.
I think exactly. The end of the race was closer to me waking up than it was me going to bed.
Yeah. Same.
But yeah, so at the start of the race, Brendan Smith, the driver who had been a wrecking ball all weekend, ended up spinning out at the start of the race, caused an altercation. So I think that was kind of a, not necessarily he deserved it, but kind of a moment to say, hey, calm down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But RTJ and Bobby Pierce dominated the race. They got out front, and there were only a few cars. Jason Fager was the only car that had anything for RTJ, but Bobby Pierce was just gone all night. No one could touch him. The other most impressive run, Tyler Carpenter went +10 from the start. He got up to second, and I think he started 13th.
Where did he finish?
He either finished second or third, but he was
What
plus
is
10.
it with him and the dome?
I think he's a really good driver, and I think his equipment is good for a regional level, running, the Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia area.
Right, but
He's
not
from Kentucky.
national level.
But when he goes, to a big half-mile track or even some of the 3/8-mile track, I don't know if he's got enough car. But when you go to a tiny, tiny bull ring like Gateway, and really the only other track I can think of that's comparable to it's Fairbury, and Fairbury's quite a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And when he has the car that he can run with these guys, that's what's impressive about it.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you.
I think it fits his driving style. And like we talked about Jonathan Davenport, who was my pick to win overall, didn't do very good. He's in one of the best cars in the field. No one's arguing that he's a top 3 dirt late model driver in the country, but no one's shocked when he runs 15th at the Dome.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't really fit his style.
No, he's more built for the bigger tracks.
Yeah, and big tracks, long races, not a 40-lap dash at a fifth of a mile bull ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I loved the Dome. I loved watching it.
I did too. Hey, it was also FloRacing's biggest ever viewed event.
I just want to know what the actual number was on it.
I really wish we could too.
Monday night.
I don't know why they don't post it.
And I was really just wondering. And how about the crowd?
Oh my goodness!
They had a little bit of the top.
What was it, like 60,000?
That stadium holds 70-something thousand, I think.
Yeah, and it was near full.
They had some of the top taped off or bannered off for advertisements, but not a lot of the top was open, and every seat that was available was full.
Yeah, really cool. And, cool to see dirt growing.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's got to be the highest attended dirt race of the year.
Most likely.
I mean, there's no way.
Besides, I don't know. The Knoxville Nationals.
But it only has like 20,000 seats there.
I thought it was like 70,000. I thought it was like 70,000.
No, Knoxville and Eldora only.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, the Dome's got twice the seats of Knoxville and Eldora,
okay,
and they sell it out, which is amazing. I love it. It's on my bucket list right now. Like, it's near the top of the races I gotta get to at some point.
It would definitely be a good one to go to. So, in moving on, I guess, to Sunday morning, because it was still Sunday morning when we did all of that stuff, and we watched it and talked about it. Sunday, we got up normal time, and I think I want to say, goodness, what time were we planning on trying stuff? The sun, it was raining. Right? It was raining until about 12, I think. And then they started drying the track, and we're like, hey, we're going to try to start this race. And drying the track, I think you and I were hanging out for a little while, just kind of getting ready, getting set, hoping everything was going to go on. They're still drying the track, and then it's time for driver intros. So FloRacing, they do all their driver intros through the lineup of the 36 cars. And it's like, all right, well, we're parked on the grid. Driver intros are done, and the minute like we're getting into the top 10, right before they finish, I look and I see a fog starting to set over the track, and I feel mist in the air, and I'm like, oh no, and it gets a little worse, and I'm like, if we don't get these cars on track right now, this track will be damp and it will not dry. It will not go back to being dry. And it just fog, like misted just a little bit too long, because I got everybody in the cars, had them feel the track, and they were like, yeah, no, this is wet. And they came and pulled them down pit road and parked them.
And I heard from a few drivers that I talked to afterwards that it wasn't the moisture on the track, it was the visibility because of the fog.
I heard that as well.
And that there was just water beating up on the windshields.
Yeah. So it was going to be a problem. And so it looked like we were going to get, the snowball was going to be the only thing that might have been actually somewhat on time that weekend. I've got a picture that I will probably put on this episode that I took that is a really like it really shows the weirdness of this like scene, because I agree
The
with you.
fans did not leave the stands.
No, they
It was
didn't.
raining, and the fans were butts in
They
seats,
wanted to see
phones
the
out, taking
Derby. They
pictures.
wanted to see the Derby.
And that was what was amazing to me is I looked and I was like, nobody's leaving. And what I really enjoyed, so you're setting the scene, is everybody I got to talk to on pit road pre-race, because everybody stayed on pit road by their cars for the majority, because we were watching them try to drive the track. Everyone there thought they were going to make a really solid attempt to get the race in, and they did make a solid attempt.
Yeah, I think it when the dew comes in like that, it's going to be like that all night. It's not going away,
Yeah.
and that's a sad fact. And that the track's just not going to dry. And the sun was setting, so it wasn't going to be any sun to dry it out. Like, that track was done for the night, and it was sad. It was frustrating, but it was what it was. Also, we didn't get to mention by this point that Timothy had chosen to go home. The rain had kind of made him kind of sick. He was definitely tired of just sitting around, and so they did not qualify for the Derby, but they planned to come back when the local races would be, which would eventually get moved to Tuesday. And we'll talk about his race just a little bit at some point soon. So, yeah, well, they tried everything, and talking about that photo, it looked like the red dip mist, because there were like some red lights that I had, and I'll have to put it on here because it is a crazy, crazy photo. So, yeah, it got rescheduled to Monday, same time at 1 p.m. And I think I want to say, yeah, me and the media team, because I decided I was going to stay there again because I was like, we got to wake up early for the Derby. And so media team and we decided to play Cards Against Humanity. And we ended up playing till like 1 in the morning because we were having some fun and we were laughing. So that's what we were doing at the media house, trying to bide more time and pass more time.
No, I mean, it was such a weird Sunday at the racetrack. Like, I had this conversation with 3 or 4 people that I talked to on pit road of just how it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was weird. It was definitely weird.
There was just the weird like energy in the air, dude. It just felt weird.
It definitely did. And it was weird, but it wasn't like bad, but it was like, this is not like your normal race day setting, like, at all. So it kind of looked like something out of Stranger Things. I can't even lie. Like, really, like,
Yeah.
with the sky, like, that's the first thing that comes to mind for me, especially since I'm watching it right now. So anyway, we wake up Sunday, and for the first time in like 5 days, there was sun. And the Lord said, "Let there be light," and it was awesome. The sun on my face felt so good after so many days of dreary rain. And Gavin and I finally both got to wear our sunglasses, and it was a great day. And the track was already dry when it needed to be. Gavin and I talked. We were down, I guess, near turn 1. We were just hanging out, chatting. Cars were gridded up on pit road.
We got to record some race picks.
We did, and that was fun. And we made our race picks, and we'll get to that once we get to the race. But I was so excited because I was like, I have a great feeling we're going to get to race. And we did. And when the car started pacing, Gavin, I could not tell you how happy I was.
No, I was so excited.
So
I went and during the infield, it's kind of hard for, me to see out of the infield, or anybody to see out of the infield. So I go park my wheelchair in turn 2 of the quarter mile, and I can see almost the whole track. But it was a funny visual for anyone else, because I was just sitting there in my wheelchair just spinning in a left turn constantly for the first 20 laps of the race, following the race cars.
Which is actually hilarious, and I wish I would have gotten to see. I really wish I would have gotten to see that, because I definitely would have taken a video of that. His wheelchair's malfunctioning.
Even I knew it was goofy looking, but I was just too busy enjoying the race.
Oh, absolutely. And who cares? I was all over the racetrack. I started in turn 1 taking photos. Then I went to the backstretch. And then I stood in this guy's truck near like the hill in turn 3. And then I spent most of the rest of the race on the tech shed until, last 10 laps where I came to the front stretch. But I was all over taking some photos. And if you want to check out my photos, it's Scott Shive Photography or Scott Shive Photos on Instagram. And I'm going to start posting those. So if you want to check out some of my photos from the weekend, it was my best work. I can't lie, Gavin. And some of my best editing as well. So yeah, but I was bouncing all over the board.
We'll put a link to your both our socials down in the bio description of this video.
It's a good call. So, but it was a good race. I mean, there was a lot of passing. There were some incidents. One thing that really stuck out to me as well was Dustin Smith running second for nearly 100 laps.
He was fast.
He was.
And that's a small team.
It is. It is a small team, which is why I didn't expect to see them there. And Dustin Smith, I mean, he's never one that's, running in the top 5 or top 10 consistently. Have some moments. And I thought that was a great moment. It really went wrong once the late race caution came out. But he had a great showing in that race, in that 33. And one that they probably needed. And they were probably unhappy with the finish, but him and Gavin Boschel were racing hard, and I would say it was just a racing incident between them. Really, I think the only notable thing, Gavin, was the controversial finish.
I knew we were going to get to this. This is your race pick, and This is what everyone has been talking about. And we're to the point, I guess we're a week and a half after the Derby now, so everything that has been said mostly. But I want to say, you did a great job picking Ty Majeski. He even crossed the line first. But somehow, my pick finished better than yours. Makes no sense.
No.
But I hate it for Ty. But when you go back and watch, he did jump it, but not by much. And I don't think it would have been called if he wasn't called for a warning on the prior restart and they didn't re-rack it.
See,
and that's the one thing that I haven't heard that many people mention. Is people like, oh, he either jumped the start or he didn't. But when you look at the fact that they re-racked it because he had jumped the restart before, he was under even more of a microscope than he already was. And so they were just waiting to pull the trigger on black flagging him.
See, I agree with you somewhat, but not fully.
No, I'm not saying that I would have made the call. I'm just saying I understand the call.
No, and I know, but I'm saying in general. So I went and read some stuff, and I went and I talked to Timothy about this. So the rule at 5 flags, and I think this is the thing in question that says this should probably be changed to avoid instances exactly like this. The rule for the restart zone is that most of it's the same as always. Once you get in the box, leader can fire any time in that box. Once you get past the second line, it's basically a free-for-all. And then, once the leader fires, the leader has to fire first in the box. That's all the same. The only thing that's different at 5 flags is that there is a rule that you are allowed to roll up in speed as you get to the box. So to not cause a stack up. And that is the exact rule that I think causes a problem. Because you think it's easy to determine with your eyes when a driver is firing, when he's really getting on the throttle. But I think this moment proves that sometimes you just don't know. Because when I look at it, I really do think that when I see it, I see him start accelerating to roll up to the box and then hammer it when he gets into the zone. And that's where I think the rule might have been the issue. Now, if I'm the race director, I'm definitely looking at him closely. But if I see it that it's early by maybe a foot, with such a prestigious race, I think Dale Jr. said it best. You have to be certain on that call because you cannot get it wrong. Because if it is, then there is going to be questions over the event. And guess what? There are now questions over the event. And like Ty Majeski said, in quote, there's a dark cloud over the Derby. And I would agree with that. I think people are questionable about that. If it would have been a driver that hadn't dominated or someone who just wasn't up there all day, maybe so. But Majeski proved all day long that he was the car to beat and that nobody could beat him.
No,
and so
yeah.
I think Nassi is such a good driver. He's amazing. He is a legend for a reason. He is one of the best to do it in Super Latinos for a reason. And he drove from the back to second position, same thing he did last year. But it was clear that when he got to Majeski, he didn't have anything for him. So I think Nassi did the second most. I think he was absolutely the second fastest car, but I think the call was just too close. And it's caused uproar that call was made. Because again, I just think it was too close to where it could easily go one way or another. And if it had been a car that hadn't been leading or dominating, people would have been like, oh, yeah, okay. But it was the fact that this car was dominant. So that's my take.
No. And that's the part of the argument that I do agree with, is that restart didn't affect the outcome of the race at all.
No.
Or it wouldn't have.
No.
Like, he still would have won no matter if he started at the end of the box, 5 feet before it, or that restart was really inconsequential other than the call.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my take.
I wouldn't have made that call.
No, I wouldn't have either.
I didn't. Watching it the first time, watching it live, I didn't notice it.
Well, watching it live, I thought he was completely fine.
Yeah, and then when you go back and watch the replay, like, you can see very close, but too close to not be controversial.
Yes.
And if they wouldn't have called it, there'd be people complaining that he jumped the start and they didn't call it.
I really don't think there would have been that many people, though. I think there
would have been some, but not as many as there are now.
Right.
But I don't think being an official in any sport is one of the most scrutinized jobs in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a race director or a high school basketball referee, you're going to be dealing with people just telling you every call you make was terrible.
Yes.
No matter what it is. Or every call you miss. How can you miss that?
Right.
So, I also think, it sucks for Majeski because he led almost every lap. He dominated. No one was close to him.
It does.
But let's pump the brakes a little bit on just overkill hating this call and saying there's a dark cloud over the Derby.
Oh, I think just in that vein of that call, I don't think this is going to affect next year at all.
Yeah, I don't either. That's what I'm saying. I don't think
people will move on from this. It wasn't like I hated that it ended in somewhat of a controversial call, but it could have been way worse.
And right now, and adding on to this 2.5 week stretch right now is the longest stretch of the year where there is no major racing. Between now and the Tulsa shootout, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And once we get to the Tulsa shootout and some guy throws a Hans device or a steering wheel or 2 little kids in a junior sprint get in a fight and everyone's laughing at them because they're 9 years old rolling around on the ground punching each other. This is going to be what's talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as one thing happens at the Tulsa shootout, that's going to be the thing. And then something's going to happen at the Chili Bowl. And then something will happen at the Clash. And something will happen at Daytona. And something will happen in IndyCar. And we'll all... You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you.
Thing until the next thing happens.
Yes, I agree with you. And so, we'll move on and let that be. I had a great weekend with you,
I had an awesome
with
weekend.
all
It
my
was
media
so fun.
people. I hated the rain, but I don't think that made us have less fun. We just had less time watching cars on track, which is
Also,
really
we had
at
a
heart
great
all we
dinner.
want
We had a
to
great
do.
dinner on Monday too.
That is true. You and I and your family
Matt
got
talked
dinner.
about the food.
Oh,
Back
that
talking
was.
about that
Oh,
food.
we can't talk about the food. It was a great dinner though, because I'm truly like once we do talk about this news and stuff, I'm going to eat. Like I'm getting some food. So let's talk about our last things we have planned for the episode. I think you wanted to talk about this new Spire program.
Okay, I wanted to talk about the Spire Ascent program, and it's Gio Scelzi, Carson Hocevar, and Tristan McKee.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Spire, it is not a driver development program. It's a talent development program where they're taking drivers that they plan on keeping. They're not trying to, like they said, they're not trying to send Gio to NASCAR. They're not trying to send Tristan McKee and Carson Hocevar to run dirt, but they're trying to get as many drivers under the Spire umbrella to run as many different things as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's awesome. And we saw that Spire purchased one of the existing high limit charters, and they're going to run full time in high limit, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's adding one more team to the national sprint car scene, and it's not taking a team away from the national sprint car scene, because when Tony Stewart Racing and Rico's team, when they merged, that took one car off of the national stage.
Yes.
But now Spire is filling that hole. So we're staying at the same number of around 30 national sprint cars across
Mm-hmm.
both tours.
Yeah.
And knowing the resources Spire has, they're a competitive cup team. They have the resources and the money that they're going to hire the right people. And I think Gio's a great driver. They're going to hit the ground, and they're going to be one of the fastest teams in high limit right out of the gate, I think. I don't think there's going to be any growing pains. I don't see it happening.
Really?
Like I see him showing up to Volusia and being fast.
Okay.
Maybe not winning, but I see them showing up to Volusia, which is going to be a week and a half of everybody from both series running.
Yeah.
And a lot of the USCS guys are running. So there's going to be 50 or 60 cars there. I mean, I see him running around the top 10 immediately. Just unloading off the trailer, being fast.
Okay. I don't really know if I have a prediction,
An opinion yet?
but I like hearing yours, and
I'm interested
it's bold.
to see,
It's bold.
and also Chili's, what they're doing across all of racing is amazing.
No, I love it. Honestly, sponsorship works. This is making me want to go to Chili's.
Big sponsors in short track racing just make me happy.
Me too. I agree with you fully.
Because there are still big ones, especially in dirt racing. Maybe not as many on the asphalt short track side, but you have big sponsors. You have Napa. You have Mobile One. You have
JBL.
JBL. You have big sponsors showing up and putting money in.
Hunt Brothers Pizza.
So, brother, exactly. Yeah, that's the short track side. So you have these big brands lifting up short track racing, which is awesome.
And it's exactly what we need. So, yeah, I'll be interested to watch that program.
I'm interested to see what drivers do what, because we know Carson runs anything he can fit his 6'6" lanky self in.
Yes.
He will run any race car he can physically get inside of.
That is very true. And so, hey, guess what? So would
probably not. Yeah. So I'm interested to see what they do with McKee, though. What this means for McKee, adding him to this program where they're saying to drive as many different cars and disciplines as possible. Because we've really only seen McKee run pro late model and late model stock and ARCA.
Right.
He's made very few super late model starts.
That's true.
So I'm interested to see if they're going to start putting him in a dirt late model for fun a few times, maybe just a dirt modified to get started, or even if they surprise us and send him to the Chili Bowl or something. I just want to see what Tristan McKee can do in a car that he's not used to. I want to see what kind of raw talent, raw speed he has in something he's not familiar with.
And
because when we see great drivers hop in a different car and be fast, like let's take Ricky Thornton Jr., for example. He ran all 3 USAC series this year part-time and is a full-time dirt super late model driver, one of the best. And he can hop in a non-wing sprint car and be fast.
Yeah.
He's hopped in a winged 410 and been decently fast. So I want to see where Tristan McKee compares to somebody like that as a solid late model stock driver and really good pro late model driver. What he can do in a car that he's not used to, like where we would see him run.
Yeah.
And
I
also, do you think Tristan McKee's ready to hop in something like a sprint car as a 15-year-old with the reputation he has?
maybe not a
Is this a good
410.
idea?
Maybe
That's
not
what
a
I was saying. Like,
410.
is this a good idea if they do that, or do you think they're going to just put him probably in a midget and maybe a late model?
Maybe a midget.
I see him put him in a midget. I can
I,
see him running a couple midget races.
and I would say that. I would say probably USAC midgets is where we might see him. I think 410. I think it's too early.
I would
I think
want to see
it's
him run. I would want him to see a outlaw micro at Millbridge because he's already in Charlotte.
that's true.
These guys aren't doing anything on Tuesday and Wednesday nights.
No.
Send
So
him out to Millbridge. Let him learn dirt
I
because the way they talked about it, this program is to develop their drivers that they already have. They're not trying to send them. They're not trying to make Hocevar a full-time dirt guy. They're not trying to make Gio a NASCAR guy. But they think that the more they put them in different cars, their skill set advancement will be accelerated. And that Gio running asphalt stuff, short track, can make him a better sprint car driver. Or Tristan McKee getting in a dirt car or a road course can make him a better late model driver. Or Carson Hocevar doing everything will make him a better NASCAR driver. And I agree with that. And I like the idea that they're doing, especially when there's so many cup teams that restrict drivers from short track racing because they're scared of injuries. Inspire doing a 180 on that and say, our guys are going to run as much as they can whenever they can.
yeah, I think the only important thing, and I agree. I like what you're saying, and I agree with you about, hey, let's keep them at their roots to help develop continually, and kind of remind you of that I guess that grassroots. The only thing you have to be careful about is retain the focus on what their main discipline is and not letting this program take away from that. And they're probably thinking about that because I think you can't just put them in everything they're available for all the time. Because
I don't expect them to all three be running 70 or 80 races a year. I'm not saying that.
no.
But when you look at, especially Tristan McKee, out of these three guys, he has the lightest schedule of the three.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be very beneficial for his development into NASCAR because we're going to see him run more ARCA this year to be on road courses in a Trans Am car or be in dirt, which I know we've had this conversation. Corey Day is spread too thin.
Mm-hmm.
But Corey Day wasn't focusing on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Tristan McKee has a clear focus
That's
on
true.
what his actual goal is, what his full-time series is. And I think running other things part-time without hurting his confidence is going to be key. What can you have him run that won't hurt his confidence if he doesn't perform?
That's true.
And then I think him having Carson, I think that's just kind of a face of the program because he's the most famous of the three.
Yeah, definitely the most famous. So we'll see how that goes and what it looks like for them.
I love the idea of it. I want to see more NASCAR teams do something like this.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And I think they'll maybe see how this one plays out to see if they might as well. But you said it for McKee, ARCA, and I wanted to transition to our last point with ARCA, and that is Nitro Motorsports. They've announced some of their drivers, and two of them very much stand out to me. I don't think we have a for sure on what their schedules are at all, but we know that Gavin
Robusto's the only
Boschel,
one we know is running full time.
yeah, Gavin Boschel and Jade Avedizian will be there next year in some capacity. And I can't say I'm surprised to hear about either of those things, but I'm happy about those things.
I hope all four of these drivers, because Sam Corey's the other one. We only saw him a few times in a Nitro car this year at a few short tracks. And I don't know hardly anything about this guy. I know nothing about him. So I'm interested to see what he does. I think we know what Isabella's capable of. We've seen her run up front in the ARCA series. We know that Venturini was kind of phoning in there last year. I don't think Toyota was pumping as many resources into them as they usually do. I think now that it's rebranded as Nitro and TRD is back giving a little bit more support, it seems like. I think all four of these, and maybe because obviously it's Toyota's factory ARCA team. They're going to have more than 4 cars at a lot of races.
Mm-hmm.
especially like Daytona, Talladega, Kansas, Charlotte, they're probably going to send 5 or 6 cars, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what other drivers come in part-time. But no, Isabella's full-time, and these other 3 drivers are, we don't really know their schedule, but we know they're running it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm most excited to see Jade, to what she's going to do in ARCA, because we've seen her run up front, but in 2 of her 3 starts, she's had mechanical issues.
Yeah. And that was upsetting.
And then in one of them, she had an early race incident and pretty much killed the car.
Yeah.
And I think she's I think she's going to be really good. I think she has an opportunity to win an ARCA race this year, because we don't know who's going to be in that Pinnacle 28 yet, I don't think.
Yeah, they haven't said anything, and I actually haven't thought about that yet.
And so if that Pinnacle team's part-time, which I've just heard these are only rumors. I've heard Landon Lewis, I've heard Lanny Bice, I've heard Tyler Reif, I've heard the 3 of them are splitting it. Like, I've heard, so many things I can't confirm or deny. Just people yapping on the internet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know.
No, I don't either.
But to know if Pinnacle, who's the defending champions of the series.
Well, then if they run, they're going to be good.
If they run, they're going to be good, but we don't know if it's going to be a full-time effort. So these 4 drivers should be the favorites to win just about every ARCA race, one of these 4.
Yeah. And that's a fair point. So I'll love to see how they perform.
Anybody.
No,
really,
they don't.
Ford doesn't. So it's just going to be a really interesting thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And we'll see how that'll work out for them. I would love to see Gavin and Jade do well. I think Jade deserves some results, but I will like to see her run at more races in that ARCA car and really see how, all of her short track stuff maybe transitions into some longer races, longer racetracks in a continued different format. So we'll see how that'll play out for her. You got any other thoughts?
Connor Zillich running the hypercar at the Daytona 24.
Oh yeah, we did mention that.
We mentioned that right before the show. I think that news came out in the last hour and a half, 2 hours probably.
Mm-hmm.
Along with Jade being part of the Nitro lineup. This was this morning's news.
Yes. So I'm glad to see him run the Daytona 24 again. I can't say I'm surprised. I am surprised to see him in hypercar rather than LMP2 because I know that there was some. I know he was supposed.
I think he's ready.
No. That's not what I wasn't going to say that. Just because I saw some stuff about his super license points, and he was if he had won the championship last year, he'd have had the extra point he needed to go do some sort of test, and I thought it was some version of a hypercar, and so I thought he wasn't going to be able to run hypercar this year because of that. But I guess
it's because this is IMSA. This isn't FIA.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Because Daytona 24 is a IMSA sanctioned race, not FIA, so they can run. Because if it's a IMSA race, I think they call it LMP1 and not a hypercar, even though it's the same car.
Okay, that's what I wondered. So, okay, there we go. Question is, he's going to do great in that car. There was no question about that in my mind. He's going to do excellent, and I think he'll run really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's all for me. I'm really, really hungry, and I'm excited for the Tulsa Shootout, which will be our next episode.
Our next episode, I'm not sure if it's going to be before or after the Tulsa Shootout yet. That's pending. We want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And if we come to you after the Tulsa Shootout, a Happy New Year as well. We're going to try to fish around and hopefully find an interview for the Shootout or the Chili Bowl at least. And like I said, I've been teasing it the last episode. After the Chili Bowl, before the Clash, we got a big guest coming on who, as far as I know, hasn't canceled on me yet. So I'm going to have to double check pretty soon, but I'm excited for it.
It's coming
up on a year of the B-Main as well.
I know. I was going to say, thank you all for watching in 2025 if we don't get another episode out before the end of the year. It's been great for Gavin and I. We're hoping to set some new goals for next year and work on some more structured things and really get things more in line and just continue to grow this podcast, especially since I'll be in my last semester of college, getting ready to, hopefully move to Charlotte and start work. You're going to be hearing a lot more from us. Don't think we're going anywhere, because we're not. We'll be back most likely in 3 weeks, if not a little bit before that, before the total shootout or after. But thank you all for watching, and we appreciate all the support. Share with your friends, share with your family. We want to just continue to grow our platform, just where Gavin and I just want to talk about racing, and we just want people to be able to see that. We want people to hear our takes, because we think we're pretty knowledgeable and have pretty decent and good takes and good ideas to go forward in the future for the good and the growth of short track racing, asphalt-wise and dirt-wise. If you want to reach out to any of us for any sort of sponsorship things, reach out to us at thebmain2024@gmail.com. Always checking those emails for anything. And thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. This has been episode 24, and our last probably of 2025. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the new year.
See ya. Merry Christmas.